number 10, this is what happens when you look into Slender Man. A Reddit user shared this terrifying encounter. I was introduced to Slender Man a few months ago when some guy wanted to pull a prank on my friend. He asked for my help, but I didn't follow along and just left. He wanted to scare my friend with a Slender Man costume. I looked up the Slender Man and read through the mythos, ignoring the do not look deeply into the legend or he will find you warnings, and went on to marble hornets. I love the story and everything, but I had an uneasy feeling at night. I thought I might be psyching myself out, but then weird things started happening. My parents say I will be awake and talking to them for 4 hours before I actually wake up. They'll say I do things I didn't do. I'll make tea and see it's half empty when I wonder if they told the truth. My parents are honest people and I believe them, but it's impossible. A couple of nights ago, I felt like I was being watched, uncharacteristically. I looked out the window and saw a flash of white and black. That night I had a dream. I drew on a sheet of paper what I saw in the dream. I remember drawing this and I'm glad I did because I've forgotten the dream. And this was the photo that this person drew. In at 9, it turns out that Slender Man might actually have some roots in Native American culture. There have been sightings of a tall, hairy entity referred to as the Big Man or Walking Sam in Native American communities surrounding Wounded Knee. Wounded Knee is the place where in the year 1890, 150 to 200 men, women, and children were slaughtered by US troops. According to cryptozoologist Lauren Coleman's post on Crypto Mundo in 2009, a woman who was elderly but otherwise quite lucid described a big man in a tall hat who has appeared around the reservation and caused young people to commit suicide. She says that Walking Sam has been picked up on the police scanners, but the police have not been able to protect the community from him. She wanted help from Washington, D.C. with foot patrols with the tribal communities to protect them from Walking Sam. In at 8 on our list, he came into my room. Another Reddit user shared this encounter. It reads, "Had a nightmare that a black silhouette was slowly pulling my covers off. First my comforter, then the knit blanket, then my sheets to my waist before I freaked out and sat up. Nothing was there but the aforementioned blankets were pulled completely off and were on the floor at the foot of my bed. My sheet was at my waist. I woke up and rationalized that I must have kicked them off in my sleep. That is, until I felt a cold breeze. It was 17 Fahrenheit outside, and noticed my window, an open window from 1946 with the pathetic little latches, was wide open. My curtain pulled aside. I heard the brushes in my yard rustling and the dog barking like crazy. Got up, grabbed the gun, turned on the light and bolted from my room saying nope, 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 nope in my head over and over and let the dog sleep with me." At number 7, the suicide spirit. Back in 2015, 5 people including adults and children committed suicide, according to the Oglala Sioux tribe. Officials say that at least one of the youth suicides was influenced by Slender Man, who was quote a tall faceless creature found on storytelling forums. The Sioux call him the tall man spirit or the suicide spirit. He appears to the youth and tells them to take their own lives. Among Native American youth, the suicide rate is more than twice the US national average for other ethnic groups. The tall man and the suicide spirit have existed in Native American culture before the internet was even a thing. In at 6, he looked like Voldemort. Reddit user Wits to posted this encounter to the Slender Man Reddit thread. "I'm currently an 18-year-old female and I live in Oklahoma City. This event occurred when I was 15, but it happened in the same location. My friend, I was with her at the time of the incident, lives in a fairly decent neighborhood that was 15 minutes walking distance from a 7-Eleven. Her parents allowed us to make late night trips there for snacks on occasion. As you're walking down the street to 7-Eleven, there's a park to the left. All it has in it is weird statue things, but I was familiar with them. Mind you, it was about 12:30, 1 o'clock at night. As we're walking by this park to the left, we could see this extremely tall figure. I recall it being as tall as the branches of the surrounding trees. He seemed to be dressed in all black and extremely pale. I'm an extremely logical person, so I wanted to validate it was just some strange tall person. I shouted repeatedly at this thing. After no response, we ran off as fast as possible and referred to this thing as Voldemort because of its paleness. It wasn't until 2 years later that my friend informed me of Slender Man, and I realized whatever I saw that night looked exactly like him. At number 5, another wave of suicides. In 2015, there was another epidemic of suicide attempts among Native American youth, only this time victims were 12 to 24 years old. The epidemic took place on the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation in South Dakota. According to an article by Odyssey, people as young as 12 years old were taking their lives out of fear of an urban legend coming to life. According to reports, tribal members were being encouraged by a man to take their own lives because they were not worthy of the company of others. He had been described as a 7-foot tall man that had no mouth and wanders the land at night, carrying the bodies of Lakota men and women. A pastor called John Two Bulls said he discovered a plan for a group of children to commit suicide together at a site outside of town. Luckily, they were caught before it could happen. At number 4 on our list, a second stabbing. An unidentified woman from Cincinnati, Cincinnati, Ohio, told a reporter that in June 2014, her 13-year-old daughter, who was obsessed with Slender Man, attacked her with a knife in the kitchen of their home. She said that her daughter had her hood up at the time, and her hands were covered with her sleeves, and she was wearing a white mask. The mother said that her daughter's writings and drawings had dark themes. They referenced demons, falling into darkness, and being insane. Her writings also occasionally made reference to Slender Man. Her mother said she had mental issues, but she never imagined anything like this would happen. The mother was treated for minor injuries after the incident, cuts on her face and neck, and a puncture wound on her back. Last I heard, the daughter is in the Hamilton County Juvenile Detention Center and was facing charges as a juvenile. In at 3, Slender Man visits you in your dreams. This story was shared by Reddit user Simply Ross. It reads, "When I was around 5 years old, I had a nightmare. The only reason why I remember after all these years, I'm currently 15 years old, is because I kept on having the same dream, but it would pick up where it left off. The first dream I had started with me in the woods and I was just walking. Then I saw a tall figure in the distance. It stared back at me. I remember thinking, why doesn't he have a face? He was also wearing black. He started walking towards me and I freaked out. Then I woke up. I had never seen or heard of Slender Man before. I mean, I was 5, I barely even knew what the internet was. When I was 8 or 9, I got into watching gamers on YouTube, and that was around the time Slender, the 8 pages, got really popular. When I first watched a YouTuber play it, all I could think was that's the guy from my dreams. At this point, I had already had multiple dreams of this tall, faceless creature, so seeing him on the internet freaked me out. I continued to have these dreams that pick up where they left off, but not as frequently as I used to when I was younger. This is a true story. I truly have been through all of this and I don't know what it means. I don't think Slender Man is real, but it's like a part of me does want to believe." In at 2, Slender Man made me do it. Back in September of 2014, a 14-year-old girl in Port Richey, Florida was arrested after she allegedly set her family's house on fire. Authorities believe that the teen was inspired by Slender Man. She soaked a towel and a bedsheet in bleach and rum and lit it on fire in the garage. As the flames spread, she fled to a park close by and slept in a public bathroom. Thankfully, her mother and her 9-year-old brother escaped the fire safely. While their home was ablaze, their mother ran back inside to look for her daughter but couldn't find her. She was in the park. Their home completely burned down. Police found the teen in the park a little later when she told a detective she was reading a book called Soul Eater. She also told police she was reading about Slender Man and wrote in a journal about Slender Man. She was charged with attempted murder. And in at number 1, you already know what this is, it's the Waukesha stabbing. On May 31st, 2014, 2 12-year-old girls held down and stabbed a 12-year-old classmate 19 times after a sleepover. When questioned by authorities, they told police they committed the heinous act in order to become proxies for Slender Man. They also told police that Slender Man threatened to kill their families if they didn't go through with the murder. Both girls had spent months planning out their attack on their victim, reading online forums and stories about Slender Man. Until one day, the morning after a birthday sleepover, they tricked the victim into thinking they were going to play a game of hide and seek when they pinned her down and attacked her with a kitchen knife. But the 12-year-old victim didn't die from her 19 stab wounds. She crawled out of the woods barely alive and was found by a passing cyclist who called 911. She's still alive to this day. Both attackers are living out the next 20 to 40 years in mental institutions. It's been a few years since Peyton Leutner was attacked by 2 of her classmates after a slumber party at Waukesha Park in 2014. Her attackers, Morgan Geyser and Anissa Wire, claimed at the time that Slender Man made them do it. Now, for the first time since, Peyton has given an interview, and I'm going to tell you what she said. Back in May of 2014, Peyton, Anissa, and Morgan went to Morgan's house for a birthday slumber party. Playdates were not uncommon between these girls, they spent a lot of time together. But Morgan Geyser also spent a lot of time talking about Slender Man, the internet boogeyman. Peyton admits that she was terrified of Slender Man, and I mean, like, who wouldn't be? He was a tall, faceless man in a dark suit that was supposed to haunt children who go looking for him. Slender Man was created in an online forum. He was no more than an art project, something a graphic designer made for fun. But Slender Man almost cost Peyton her life, and he ruined 2 others. Peyton wanted to be friends with Morgan, so she went along with the whole Slender Man obsession. Morgan and Anissa had been planning the attack for several months, starting in December 2013 to January 2014. They planned using code language. There are complete instructions on how to become a proxy for Slender Man on Creepypasta Compendium. The website states that proxies are either chosen or enlisted. They are servants or helpers and serve as his connection to the human world. They have to complete tasks given to them by Slender Man. The girls tried several times to carry out the attack on May 30th and then again on the morning of May 31st. Little did she know, Morgan Geyser planned to hurt Peyton during Morgan's 12th birthday party at a roller rink. Peyton said that something seemed off about that birthday party. All of the other sleepovers she attended, Morgan wanted to stay up all night because she could never do that at home. But on the night of the birthday party, she wanted to go to sleep and didn't want to stay up all night. Morgan and Anissa were initially planning to kill Peyton in her sleep that night, but instead they chose to do it the following morning at nearby Waukesha Park. When Peyton woke up, Anissa and Morgan were downstairs on a computer, so she joined them for breakfast before they went to the park. The girls told Peyton that they wanted to play hide and seek, and they told her that she should lie down under the leaves and sticks, but it was all a ploy to get Peyton on the ground. That's the moment Morgan Geyser repeatedly used a kitchen knife on Peyton, and when she was finished, they left her in the woods to go find Slender Man. Somehow, barely alive, Peyton managed to crawl out of the woods. A passing bicyclist found her and called 911. She had 19 wounds in her abdomen, arms, chest, and legs. Initially, Morgan and Anissa said they committed the heinous act because they were making a sacrifice to Slender Man, and they believed they would now gain enough status to be able to live with him in his mansion. The pair were found walking together several miles from the scene of the crime. Morgan Geyser pleaded guilty to attempted murder and was sentenced to 40 years in a mental institution. Anissa Wire pleaded guilty to attempted second-degree homicide due to mental illness, and a judge sentenced her to 25 years in a mental health facility. Both girls were charged as adults, which is one of the reasons why their names have been published in the media. Since the attack, Peyton admits that she's both physically and emotionally damaged. It took her a very long time to recover. She admits that she sleeps with a pair of broken scissors and has difficulty meeting new friends because she just doesn't trust people anymore. She still has many visible scars that are still painful 3 years later, reminding her daily of the real-life horror story that almost took her life. Shopping for homecoming dresses was a nightmare because few options covered up her scars. She also hates wearing a bathing suit and going to the beach for the same reason. Her mother, Stacey Lutner, told ABC that Peyton has friends, but initially, even with those friends, she kept them at arm's length. And for a long time, even trusting family members was hard for her. Peyton is a high school senior now and plans to pursue a medical career. She said she doesn't want to talk to either Morgan or Anissa, but if she did speak to Morgan, she would thank her. She said, I quote, I would probably initially thank her. I would say, just because of what she did, I had the life I have now. I really like it, and I have a plan. I didn't have a plan when I was 12, and now I do because of everything I went through. A terrifying figure that resembles Slender Man was caught on camera by a man who went missing in the woods. The camera, along with the footage, his car, and his belongings were left behind. Slender Man is one of the internet's favorite characters. The character originated on a Something Awful forum in 2009. Since then, he's become pretty famous because so many people claim to have seen him. There are over 113,000 sketches of Slender Man on DeviantArt. Slender Man is essentially the modern day boogeyman. Maybe some of you are too young to know about the boogeyman, but I legit thought that he was hiding under my bed. I used to jump from the door of my bedroom to my bed because I thought he was just gonna like grab my feet from underneath it. Yeah, I was a special child. Still am. Back to Slender Man. He's said to be a spirit of the woods who goes around claiming the souls of young children. Slender Man is tall with lanky limbs. He wears a black suit and doesn't have a face. Back in 2014, Slender Man became mainstream after two 12-year-old girls stabbed their friend 19 times. They told police that Slender Man had told them to do it. Both girls were sentenced to mental institutions. One was diagnosed with schizophrenia. The YouTube channel NVTV posted a video to their channel that shows a man filming his walk in the woods at night. He says in the video that he woke up when he heard noises outside his tent, and then he decided to take his camera to see what was outside. As he walks around his campsite, he turns around and catches something on camera. Something super creepy. A white, skinny figure appears as the camera shakes and then cuts out. Apparently, according to the YouTube channel NVTV, the footage was shot last year, and the man who filmed it went missing. His belongings along with the camera were left at his campsite, but he was nowhere to be found. Not really sure how true that is, considering there's no link to the story or any missing persons reports. The clip has gone viral after just a couple of days. It was posted on Sunday. Some think that this video really shows Slender Man. Others are more skeptical. First of all, this thing was white, or appears to be wearing a light colored morph suit. Slender Man is supposed to wear a black suit. So. And people are also skeptical because the figure doesn't move. It's just sort of standing there. It seems like whoever made this video could have just stuck a mannequin in the woods and filmed a fake encounter. Maybe I could be wrong. Maybe that's Slender Man. If you're out there, Slender Man, don't don't hurt me.
Imagine if the Slenderman was real! Alright guys, so we're talking about these Slenderman photos that have been posted all over the intranet. That's right guys, we're talking about the Slenderman. He's the guy that has long arms and he ain't got nothing on my hand gestures, yo. But I know some of you guys want to see the photos, so let's check it out. Here we go. Whee! Man, that's Ronka Donka Dink. Guys, what is this thing? Oh wait, maybe it's just a guy in a costume. So these specific photos were taken in the Knoke area, which is somewhere in the UK. And it's gotten so out of hand that an X-Files investigator has taken a look into it. His name is Lee Brickley, and he will investigate your X-File. But he ain't as cool as Scully and Mulder, let's be real. P.S. X-Files is returning to television. Alright. Now I've been reading some stories saying that Slenderman kind of like people have been around in, you know, European cultures for years. Like in Scotland they call it Fearda, which translates into the Dark Man. Or if you go to the Deutschland they call it the Taken Man, which is Branch Man translated. But it's not just photos, guys. People are also reporting that they have been harassed by this creature, or man in a costume. A resident by the name of Pi Green went on to say that he was actually visited by one on December 14th of 2014. He actually woke up at 2 o'clock in the morning to hear scratching in his bedroom, and when he looked up he saw a really tall man with some razor sharp teeth. But it's not just him. People are also reporting that the Slendermen have been in people's houses.